Excitement is growing amongst Corvette fans all around the world as we approach July the 18th, the reveal date for the new mid-engine C8 Corvette. An even bigger reveal we're waiting for here in Australia is to confirm that the Corvette is going to be built in right-hand drive form direct from the assembly plant in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I firmly believe it is. If you stay tuned, I'll give you my 5 reasons why I believe the Corvette will be available in right-hand drive, and we'll be able to buy it direct from our GM Holden dealer here in Australia. G'day, I'm Mark and I'm a self-confessed Corvette fanatic here in Australia. I've owned 8 Corvettes. I'm also an ex-GM engineer. So if you want to see what's happening in the Corvette scene here in Australia, you need to subscribe to my channel, Vet News. That way it'll be easy for you to find me each week and you can check out what's going on. You may wonder why it's so important for us in Australia to have access to a right-hand drive Corvette. The reason is, if you want a late model Corvette, anything from a C5 onwards, you need to convert it to right-hand drive or you can't register it. The cost of converting a C7 Corvette right now will run you about $60,000. So by the time you buy your Corvette in the US, transport it to Australia, pay the duty and taxes on the car and get it converted to right-hand drive, you're up for a hell of a lot of money for your Corvette. On the other hand, if it was built at the factory in right-hand drive, you can immediately chop $60,000 off its price. Okay, let's get into my 5 reasons why I believe the cars will be built in the US in right-hand drive. My first reason for the availability of a right-hand drive Corvette goes back to 2015 when GM announced that manufacturing of cars in Australia by GM Holden would be stopped. At the same time, they told us that to replace our beloved SS V8 Commodore, we would be receiving within the next few years a V8 rear-wheel drive genuine sports car. That left 2 possibilities, either the next generation Corvette or the next generation Camaro. If a car is to be built in both left and right-hand drive, this feature needs to be incorporated into the design right from the beginning, not as an afterthought. So right-hand drive needs to be included at the design phase of the next gen car. The Gen 6 Camaro came out during 2015, and 4 years later there is no talk of right-hand drive. So the Camaro is clearly not the car GM was talking about for Australia. This leaves the C8 Corvette as the car GM will sell in Australia, and obviously it must be right-hand drive to do so. The fact that the engine sits behind the driver is a bonus for building both left-hand drive and right-hand drive versions, as it's somewhat easier to package systems like the steering and brakes in the front of the car without an engine in the way. That's my number 1 reason for saying that the C8 Corvette will be built in right-hand drive. My second reason is because GM has registered the Corvette logo here in Australia. Not only that, they went through a legal battle of 4 years to get that logo registered. They wouldn't have done that if they weren't going to use it here. The interesting reason behind the court case was the Australian government arguing, for some reason, that the bow tie on the flag on the Corvette logo could be mistaken for a Red Cross flag, which would have contravened the Act of the Geneva Convention, 1957. GM finally got approval of the logo on the proviso it couldn't use a red bow tie on a white or silver background. The Red Cross symbol is used on medical vehicles, so I assume our Corvettes could be mistaken as ambulances. I've checked all my Corvettes and I'm pleased to say there are no red bow ties in sight. You better check yours too. Over and above the logo, it was found GM had also registered the name Zora and the name Stingray here in Australia. So that's my number 2 reason a right-hand drive C8 is part of GM's plan. My third reason is when Taj Gupta, Corvette's chief engineer, spoke at the National Corvette Museum Bash in May. He spoke a little about C8 but didn't reveal much. He then asked for questions. A guy who apparently was from one of the UK Corvette clubs asked him if Corvette was going to be built in right-hand drive. Have a listen to what was said.
Right here.
Are you making the right-hand drive version?
Pardon me?
Are you making the right-hand drive version?
We got the Corvette Club of UK here. All my buddies. So they were really interested in that question, but
If we did, would you buy one?
Yeah.
But you said you
Are you
didn't
a
care.
ventriloquist?
You said it makes him a better driver to drive on left-hand drive.
I can tell you this, my wife's not here.
Yes, well, the product details 7, 18, 19. And actually, that's just the beginning. You know how we work. There'll be a major rollout, and then there'll be news that follows.
My take from Taj's answer is that the Corvette will be revealed on July the 18th, but there won't be anything said about right-hand drive. At a later event, the Corvette C8 right-hand drive will be announced. So it looks like we'll have to wait a little while before we have that confirmation. My reason number 4 relates to the statement in April by GM CEO Mary Barra that the Bowling Green plant would add an extra shift for assembly of Corvettes, along with some 400 extra jobs. She said this wasn't a short-term measure, but a permanent situation. Many US commentators, however, have expressed surprise that GM was expecting a doubling of sales for the next generation mid-engine car. It is acknowledged the car will appeal to a new demographic of younger customers, in contrast to the current older buyers, but the commentators can't see sales improving enough, as in doubling, to justify a second shift. But these guys are missing something: the right-hand drive C8. A new market's going to open up in right-hand drive countries such as the UK, Japan and South Africa, plus of course Australia and New Zealand. There are also other Asian right-hand drive countries, in addition to Japan. India is right-hand drive and they've got 1 billion plus people. There's also Singapore, Hong Kong and Thailand. They all drive right-hand drive cars. So this extra shift and 400 extra hourly paid workers is my number 4 reason to believe there will be a right-hand drive of C8. And finally, my number 5 reason why the C8 Corvette will come out in right-hand drive form. And that's because the journalists are saying so. These guys have got pretty good contacts, and there's always a few leaks, particularly as the car gets closer. I'm betting that Holden has already got some departments working on getting ready for the new C8 Corvette. And the more people know about it, the more likely there is a chance of a leak. And the journalists pick up on it, and they're already writing stories saying that this is what's going to happen. Putting all of those 5 reasons together, I think you'll agree that I've got a pretty compelling case for saying that the Corvette is going to come to Australia as a right-hand drive car. Just think of the advantages. You'll be able to go down to your GM Holden dealer, you'll be able to buy the car and have a warranty on it, you'll have spare parts available, you'll have servicing and trouble finding available, and you'll also have the advantage that if there are any factory recalls or factory fixes or updates of software, that'll get done by the dealer. This is going to be a big improvement for us Corvette owners. That's the video for this week. I hope you enjoyed it and hope you learned something from it. If there are any further questions, just put them in the comments section below and I'll do my best to answer them. If you did like it, please hit the like button, and also if you haven't yet subscribed, subscribe to this channel, and that way you can see when the next video has come up and you can take a look at it. I'll be posting another video next week. So until then, happy vetting, and I hope to see you all again real soon.